your camera and the rest of the accessories that comes with it. Other than that, we have mounting options. So aside from the ones that come with your package, we'll be showing you how other accessories will improve your usage for the GoPro itself. Then lastly, we'll discuss a bit on how to use the app and the GoPro session, which allows you to edit your videos right after you've recorded them. So at least, because most of us nowadays, when we try to record something, we just put all those videos inside. But of course, best if we try to compile them, at least we can see all the fun moments all within one video. And then lastly, additional training is where you'll be able to find the rest of the stuff aside from what we're discussing today. So currently we discussed the Hero 4 Black, which is so far still the top of the line range for video. Even though for GoPro they have newer cameras like Hero Plus LCD Hero 4 Session, which was released more recently. However, the Black itself is still the top of the line range for GoPro cameras. So in terms of processing power and recording capabilities, it's still top. One of the best in the market right now for its size and shape. So for processing capabilities, it's twice as compared to silver and the rest of the GoPro cameras before. In terms of 4K recording, it's able to record up to 30 frames compared to silver, which is 15. But at lower resolutions, most of the other cameras are able to perform well as well. And for Full HD, this is the only camera right now for the GoPro range which is able to record up to 120 frames. Those frame rates, resolutions, I'll be discussing later on so that you're able to understand what they are actually for. Then the 720-240 is for super slow motion effects. Then there's a 12 megapixel resolution as well for photos and up to 30 frames per second for burst. And lastly, we have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which is available on the full GoPro range right now. Then for Hero 4, not just the Black, it also includes new features like photo and time-lapse modes, in which you'll be able to record photos or videos even at low light environments. So we'll be showing you how it works as well. And approaching mode, quick capture, and highlight tag, everything will be discussed. Then Hero 4 Silver, in terms of features and functions as compared to Black, everything is the same, except that recording frame rates and bit rates will be lower. And the fact that it comes with an inbuilt LCD display, that's why among the full range, it's the most popular for the GoPro line. So in terms of video resolution, it's half the frame rate of what you get with the Black, but even with half the frame rate, you're still able to create good videos and slow motions with it as well. And photo resolution, nothing is different from the silver to the Black. 12 megapixel, 30 frames per second photo. And also comes with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Then lastly, since this session is actually not for silver and Black, so as for the session itself, session is the first and only GoPro which doesn't require a watertight case for you to bring it down underwater. It's actually the smallest GoPro to be released as of the moment. It's 50% smaller and 40% lighter. And it also comes with dual mic system. So in terms of sound recording, it's actually one of the best for sound recording among the GoPro range, since it doesn't require you to put the camera inside case in your housing. However, the depth that it's able to go is only up to 10 meters deep, as compared to the rest of the GoPros with a case, it's able to go up to 40. So next is, some of you guys might be wondering, when I tried to open my box, for you sir, you haven't even, my colleague show you, haven't read. So you might be wondering, what are these accessories for? What's their purpose for me? So first thing you'll see out of the box is the housing itself. So the housing itself is made of acrylic with a glass lens, which will provide you the best clarity and and you're recording videos and photos. So some know-hows on how to use the case itself is when you're trying to record anything, the best is to try to make the lens clean as possible, so at least you don't get any lens flares, especially fingerprints when you pause your photo and get blur advance. Then you'll be wondering, when you open the case, you have one back door attached to your housing, and you get two other inside the box as well. So the main purpose of these back doors is actually, first, for this is water protection. This is a solid door. For the solid one, it provides water protection for you up to 40 meters deep. If you're going for diving or even just normal water activities or rock activities, it's best to use this back door right over here. The next is skeleton back door. So this is totally hollow. Why would they want to provide you a color case? Because for a silver, it comes with an inbuilt LCD screen. So the purpose of this is for you to have access on the screen itself, and at the same time provide better sound recording. Because with the enclosed case, the sound will be a bit muffled as compared to using this case right over here. Then lastly, what we have is this touchback door. So it's almost similar to the skeleton, except that this comes with a thin film. So the film itself allows you to still touch the screen and at the same time still have water protection to 3 meters deep. So most of the time people will ask, how do I attach and remove this cover itself? So I'll just show you a simple one. So best is if you keep the cover at the 90-degree angle, where you just twist like that to take out the case. Then to put back, you just place your thumb right over here and press down to get it here. It might be a bit tough the first time you do it, but once you get used to it, it's as easy as that. No. No, sorry.
Won't break down.
No. Okay, so far we have been doing this for years and we haven't cracked any case. Especially if you purchase a camera from us, if anything cracks by doing this, we will be changing the case for you. Anything happens. So same for the other two. It's the same way how you change the back doors. Then some other things that you get within the package itself will be these adhesives. You get a flat one and you get one which is curved. The flat one is to be mounted on any flat surface. So it's an adhesive which you can stick onto a wall, maybe a table, or anything which is flat. Then the curved one is mainly for helmets. So if you're riding a bike, GoPro bike, let's say, and you wish to attach the GoPro to your helmet, then you use these adhesives. Yes.
Are they removable or reusable?
They are removable. Reusable, not so recommended unless you'll be just sticking it on the table, just to make sure that it doesn't move. However, mounting it to another like helmet or to a wall, not so recommended since of course the strength itself is not there anymore. Yes.
But the one is not waterproof.
I mean, it's waterproof. Yeah, because if you notice on the GoPro itself, there's the floating back door. It's an orange foam. It's using the same adhesive as well. So if this gets wet, it's the same. Just make sure to rinse with fresh water after. So the way to stick is make sure your surface is clean, free from dust, dirt, and grease. So make sure to wash with soap before even sticking the surface. To stick, just stick it onto the surface by removing this red cover here, and let it dry for at least 12 to 24 hours before using. So at least it dries up. When it dries up, it hardens. So when it hardens, basically it has, it's best if you use it right after those time periods. Then, trick to removing these adhesives, first is by using heat. By applying heat onto the adhesive, it will actually soften, and when it softens, it's easier to remove. Otherwise, you can use dental floss or thread as well to just go through, so at least it helps you to remove it easier. Because otherwise, it's quite difficult to remove this.
What sort of heat? How do you apply heat with a hairdryer or something?
Yeah, you can use a hairdryer, a heat gun. Takes it there for a few minutes, then slowly peel it out. At times, it might be a bit difficult, especially if it's a flat surface. For curve, it's a bit easier to remove.
So
I'm sorry.
Flexible, isopropyl.
Yeah, also can, but it's just that there are some surface which is not so safe for you to use the GoPro because it might got the paint or damage the surface. So overall, best if you just use a bit of heat, like from a hair dryer, to soften it. Then you get these tips right over here. So what are the purpose of for this tips? The tips itself is what's mounted onto the camera in the first place. So it's something which is mounted onto your case. Together with the case, it comes with this screw right over here. So one purpose of this tip is actually it can be used as a stand. So actually it can stand on its own. Other than that, the tip is meant for you to attach to these pieces. So if you wish to mount the camera onto your helmet, you just mount this tip and it's good to go. So it's a quick release tip which you can easily insert and pick up anytime you wish to. Then what's the purpose of giving you two tips right over here? So the reason why they give you two tips is because of the angle that you're able to record with. For this tip right over here, it gives you a lower leverage, so less wind resistance if you're mounting it on your helmet as compared to this which is a bit higher, so a bit more wind resistant. But it's just that for this, the angle that you're able to record in is a bit limited since it hits this surface. So if I wish to mount it onto a wall, the maximum angle that I'm able to record in is actually pointing downwards. Because for example, this is my wall, so I tip this camera, I'm only able to record up to this angle since it hits. However, if I use this J hook right over here, by mounting it this way, I'm able to mount the camera like this. So now I'm able to record forward, or I can also tilt down, or I can turn it the other way around depending on which angle you record in. It gives you a bit more angle to play with, especially when you're in tight spaces or mounting onto a wall. Session actually comes with this, which is, it comes with it's a slightly different design. Because the Session itself now, it doesn't look like J, it's basically an L-shaped clip. So the L-shaped clip itself, together with the low profile frame, it works the same way. For the frame, you get two. The other one is the standard frame, the other one is the low profile frame. The low profile frame itself, the screw hole is closer to the edge, which when you fit, it actually provides less leverage, especially best if you're using it for motorbikes. It's actually the best camera to use for motorbikes since it's very small, so very less wind resistant. Then lastly will be this pivot arm. So the pivot arm just allows you to mount the camera to any angle you wish to. So this itself, when mounted together, you're able to create L-shaped mounts. So if you are mounting the camera on the side of your helmet, you're able to still record in flat orientation. Otherwise, if you record it this way, turn it the other way around, you are able to play with different angles for the camera. For the Session, one main advantage since when you try to turn the camera, it changes orientation. So whether you record in any angle, it's actually correct. So for Hero 4 Silver and Black, both of them do come with the same accessories. Only except that for the black, it doesn't come with this back door right over here. Since it doesn't come with any LCD screen, so there's no purpose for we to have this. However, for a Hero 4 Black, since there's no LCD screen behind, how do people use their camera, especially if they're going underwater? You cannot bring your phone down under. So there's actually an additional accessory which you can get for your GoPro to attach the screen behind. That's the purpose of having this small port right at the back of your camera. This is for Hero 4 Silver and Black. Especially for Black, it will be useful to have this port. Since you can attach a screen, you can attach an additional battery pack to extend your recording. Then next will be the basics. So So basics for the camera. Okay. So for the camera itself, there will be three main buttons for Hero 4 Silver and Black. As compared to a session, there's actually one main button and one sub button. The sub button for a session is for you to change the settings, activate Wi-Fi, and basically turn on the camera. Then the main button is to record videos and snap photos. However, for Silver and Black, even though it's a bit more complicated, it's still not so difficult to use. There are three main buttons on the camera itself. The front button is for you to turn the camera on and off, and to switch modes. To switch modes, you get three different modes which will be showing on the next slide. Then the top button, same as any other camera, is for you to be able to snap photos, record videos, and use it as a select or enter button when you're in settings mode. And lastly will be the side button here. Side button here is for you to switch the camera, change the camera settings. By pressing the side button here, you'll be able to change the camera resolution, frame rates, and even activate some features on each mode, which I'll be showing you right now, so for you guys to further understand what I mean. So pressing the front button here, you hear a beep, which means the camera turns on, same like any other GoPro. Then by pressing the front button, you notice that I'm changing settings from video, photo, multiple shot, playback, and setup. For Hero 4 Silver, it's the same as swiping the screen to the left. So when you swipe the screen to the left, what you see are those 5 main settings on the screen. Then the next is swiping up. Swiping up brings you to video settings. It's the same as pressing the side button on your GoPro. So when I press the side button here, it brings me to settings. You guys understand? Any question? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So why is it when I press the side button right now, it only shows me video settings? And how do I change photo settings? For you to change photo settings, you have to switch the mode to photo. Then by pressing the side button, it brings me to photo settings. Then next, if you wish to change burst or time-lapse settings, you have to go to multiple shot mode, which is multi-shot settings, and you'll be able to change the settings for each. So there are three main modes, which is video, photo, and multi-shot. And those are the three main modes to choose from. However, within those modes, there are several other modes for you to select, which I'll show you on the next slide. Then number 4 will be the wireless in the slide. That one can be found on wireless. So once I activate wireless on the GoPro, you notice that there's a blue blinking light. A blue blinking light, say for a session, indicates that your Wi-Fi is active. Once the Wi-Fi is active, basically you see a blinking light here, which in a way lets you know that the camera is on as well. Because there are two main on settings on the camera. One is for the main camera itself, and the other one is Wi-Fi. Even if the camera is off, the Wi-Fi itself will be blinking. The purpose of that is when the camera itself is connected to the app, we're still able to turn the camera on and off and change the settings even without touching the camera itself. Yes?
Is it considering that the Wi-Fi is on but the camera is off, is the battery being drained?
Yes, but it drains slowly because it doesn't use much power from the camera.
So really you turn off the Wi-Fi when you turn the camera
Yes, you are able to turn off the Wi-Fi even if the camera is off. So you just hold the side button here for 5 seconds to deactivate the Wi-Fi. Then number 5 is the camera status light, which is the red blinking light. The red blinking light means that there's an activity happening on the camera. Like when you record videos, it tries to blink at a certain pace, taking photos one blink at a time, time-lapse, blink at a certain time interval. So the purpose of that is, there are some who don't use their remote control or who don't use their phone to take pictures. They will just place the camera there. So at least even without going close to the camera, you know that it's working. And there are actually 4 lights on your GoPro, not just the front one. There's actually a top light, a bottom light, and a back light. So there are a total of 4 LEDs blinking. So to save battery, there are some who will turn off 2 lights, so you only have the front and back. There are some who would totally turn off all the lights. But I wouldn't recommend you turning off all the lights, since if you turn off all the lights, the Wi-Fi light itself will not blink as well. So if the Wi-Fi itself, since I mentioned, has a separate power, and if you don't see it blinking, then it could be draining your battery without you even knowing that the Wi-Fi is on. Sorry? Okay. Turn off the lights, you just need to go, you have to go to setup, and you just look for LEDs. So there are 4 LEDs, you can switch to 2 or you can turn it off. Then number 6 will be microphone. So if you wish to record better audio on your GoPro, it's best to keep your voice or mouth close to the top part of your GoPro, which is this one right over here. For a session, one good thing for a session, it comes with the front and back mic. So even if you're trying to interview someone, you don't even have to use a case, so you'll be able to get really good sound recording. Then 7 will be the composite port, which is also same as the mini USB port. So the mini USB port, which is located here right on the side, is for you to be able to charge, transfer files, record, have TV output as well by using a composite cable. Yes.
Once you do the setting on the app,
Yeah.
then you do not connect anymore. The settings remain in the
Yeah, settings will remain. Even if you try to take out the battery and maybe leave it there for a few days, put your battery back in, all the settings will be the same.
not the same for
Sorry.
session, but not that.
Okay.
Session is a default.
Because session itself, there are 2 buttons, right? So it depends. But however, if you use the app, you can set a default mode for it, but only for the app. But if you use the
So you can choose the default.
for the app, yeah, once you connect to the app. But if you just using just the camera itself, since there are only 2 buttons to play with, so you really have to either press once, record video, or hold for 3 seconds to take photos. Then lastly, we have the micro HDMI port, which I'm using right now. So if you wish to live stream to your TV, like you wish to watch all your videos without using your computer, you can just plug your cable right over here. It's a micro HDMI cable, so you're able to watch in high definition and at the same time provide sound as well. Yeah, the cable is sold separately. You can, GoPro sells micro HDMI cables. However, if you happen to have one at home, since again, there are similar devices like small cameras, which uses the same cable, which should be able to work as well. Then for a Hero 4 Silver and Black, the battery compartment will be located right underneath. So by pressing this, it will open up your battery compartment. However, for a session, battery is inbuilt, so you just have to charge from the side. So then, for the battery itself, some might wonder, what's the purpose of this film right over here? So when you take out the battery, you'll notice that there's actually a film. So the purpose of this film is just for you to actually pull out the battery once it's inside the compartment. Because someone tried to cut it before. So it's not able to take out the battery. So that's the purpose of this film, which is for you to pull out your battery. Yes. Sorry? Yes, underwater you're able to change the settings. Since I mentioned to you that there are 3 main buttons on the camera itself, right? So once you put the camera inside the case, inside the housing, the buttons itself are all still accessible. So you can still change all modes and settings when you're underwater. So the next will be the basics for GoPro. So as I mentioned earlier, these are some of the important modes for you to know on your GoPro. For a Hero 4 Silver and Black, there are a total of 10 recording modes. compared to a session which comes with 5. So the 10 for Hero 4 Silver and Black includes video, video plus photo, looping, video time-lapse, single night continuous burst time-lapse and time-lapse. For session, it's video, looping, photo, burst, and time-lapse. So those are the 5 different modes for. I'm sorry? Okay, we'll go into that in a while. So for video, same like any other camera, a single press of the top button records the video, another press is stops. So currently we're in video mode. So when I press the top button, it should be able to record, another press is stops. Then pressing the side button, I'll be able to change the resolution, frames per second. So all these functions I'll be discussing to you in a while, so for you to know which ones to use. Field of view, low light, spot meter, protrude, so we'll be going into that later on. So next will be video plus photo. So how do you change to video plus photo? You just have to go to video settings, and for the mode itself, just look for video plus photo. Video plus photo means that while you're recording videos, you can snap photos at the same time as well. The photos taken will be through a certain time interval, which you can set on the camera. So over here it says 5 seconds, 10, 30, and 60. Which means every 5 seconds while you're recording a video, the camera snaps photo for you as well. Why would you want to record videos and take photos at the same time? Because there are some who would ask, cannot I just record videos and try to take a snapshot of that certain frame so I end up having a photo as well? Actually, that's possible. However, doing that, your resolution for your photo will be smaller, since you're only based on the resolution of your video. However, if you use the camera sensor, the full camera sensor to take a photo, it will be taken at a higher resolution, which means you end up having a better photo, more details, more clarity. So that's the purpose of using video plus photo mode. However, for video plus photo, since it's using more processing power from your camera, since at the same time while recording videos, it takes photos as well. So there are only 3 resolutions that it can record in: 1440, 1080, and 720, which is similar to the recording modes for the session as well. Yes. Yeah, these are the video resolutions. Photo resolutions also will differ a bit depending on which resolution you record in. It doesn't mean that when you record in 1080, your photo resolution will still be 12 megapixels. It will be recording at 8 megapixels.
Did it tell you?
I'm sorry?
Did it tell you?
No, it doesn't indicate right over here, but okay, I'll tell you right now why it's taking photos in such a way. For 1440, I'll be discussing that on the next slide. Maybe it's easier for me to discuss. At least I have a video to show you how it really works. But just remind me later on about this. So basically that's video plus photo. Then next will be video looping. Then looping itself, which is almost available for the full range of GoPro cameras, is for those who wish to use their GoPros for surveillance. So if you wish to maybe put the GoPro over your car and basically loop the video over and over again, so at least if anything happens, you have a proof. So it's the same like an in-car camera, except that you're using a GoPro. However, there's a bit of difference using a GoPro as an in-car camera compared to other conventional in-car cameras. You notice here that there's an interval as well. So there's interval of 5 minutes, since I don't have any micro SD, so there's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 60 minutes, 120 minutes, and lastly will be max. Usually for our car cameras, they would only use your entire card and loop over and over again. But for a GoPro, they know that you're not going to just use the GoPro as an in-car camera. You might be using it for an activity later on. So that's why they set an interval over here. What 5 minutes mean is your video looping will just rotate over a 5 minute cycle. Okay.
Will it record over
make
the
it-
previous? Will it record over the previous video or add a?
Okay, to make it much clearer, so there's 5 minutes, right? For 5 minutes, it will create 5 1-minute segments. So on your first minute, records first minute, second, third, fourth, fifth. Then on the 6th minute of recording, it overwrites the first minute. So it will just loop over and over that.
Over the 5 minutes.
Yeah, that 5-minute segment. So at least the rest of your memory card will be reserved for other things. So you won't be using your whole card.
Does it always only take 1 minute maximum video?
For 5-minute interval. But if I switch the camera to 20 minutes, then the interval for each segment will be longer. So for example, I set to 20 minutes, it will create 4 5-minute yeah, 5 4-minute segments. So it will just loop over that 20 minutes. So at least you have your remaining space for your other
So
videos.
it's like 5 files?
4 or 5, depending on the space you have left on your memory card. So it's usually 4 or 5 files. But otherwise, if you wish to use your entire cartridge for looping, you are able to select max, MAX. So you'll be able to use the maximum space on your card to record looping.
How long does the battery last?
Okay, usually for looping, setting the camera at Full HD 30 frames is able to last about 1 hour 45 minutes to 2 hours. Depending on the temperature as well. However, yes, 32 or 64 is fine as long as you, especially for short intervals, it's fine. But for using max for 120 minutes, you should have at least 32. Then for battery life, if that's one of your concern, for looping, it's best if you use a continuous power supply. So for a GoPro, you're not limited just by the battery itself. Even for a session, you can plug a power source direct to the camera itself, and you can see the record as long as you want, as depending on your memory card space as well.
How to delete looping?
Sorry?
How do you delete?
Okay, the deleting looping, when you try to go to your phone, to your camera gallery, it will be saved as one file. So you can easily just delete that whole section. Yeah, one file. So it will just show you one file. However, if you take out the memory card and put onto your computer, you see 5 files. On your GoPro app, it detects that one is just one file, but on your GoPro app, it will be 5 different files. Then, lastly, we have time-lapse video. Anyone here knows what time-lapse is, or anyone here doesn't know what time-lapse is? Anyone familiar with time-lapse? Guys? Okay, I see a few heads nodding. So, means basic time-lapse is an effect which you can create by taking photos at a certain time interval and stitching them together. So you see some videos like sunrise, sunset, the sky is moving at a fast pace. So that type of effect is called time-lapse. Over the next few slides, I'll be showing you what really time-lapse is. So, because time-lapse itself, the main concept of time-lapse is for you to take photos at a certain time interval, which means, for example, every 5 seconds, you take one photo. That is called time-lapse. However, to create a time-lapse video effect, I have to stitch all those photos together into one file to create a video. Otherwise, time-lapse itself is just a compilation of photos. So you'll be able to appreciate it in a while after you see the video. So the purpose of time-lapse video itself is you just have to place the camera there. It will take all the photos for you and it will stitch everything for you automatically. Because if you just have the raw photos itself, you still have to get the computer, transfer all the photos there, and edit. Basically compile everything, which is a bit more troublesome, but using a computer would give you a bit more flexibility. But if you're someone who's always on the go, you want something easy, this is the setting you use. Anyone understand what I mean?
Is it a time-lapse that has no...
Yes, actually this is the standard time-lapse mode. which basically your output will be in photos. It could be tens, hundreds, or even thousands of photos depending on how long you take. However, for this, even if you take a 10-second recording or an hour of recording, you end up always having one file. However, of course, the length of your video will differ. So that's how time-lapse video works. You'll appreciate it in a while once you see the time-lapse video right after. So next, we'll proceed to photo. So to proceed to photo, just have to switch to photo mode. And we have single. Single, you see it's single photo, one press, one shot. Then next is we have night. Night is similar to single photo, except that now you're able to change the shutter speed for your camera. So changing the shutter speed, especially those here using DSLR cameras or a more advanced point-and-shoot camera, you're able to change the shutter speed, which brightens up your image. So having a longer shutter speed will enables you to take better photos at night. So especially if you're, let's say you're out camping up in the woods and you wish to capture the scenery without having any lights, all you have is just light from the moon. You'll still be able to capture a bright image just by using very long shutter speeds. So maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Basically, shutter itself is how long the shutter is open for your camera sensor to absorb light. So the longer your shutter is open, the more detail, the more light your sensor is able to capture. However, the trick in taking good night photos is to have a tripod or keep your camera as stable as possible. So once you try to move, because some would think, oh, it means that if at night I'll be able to get good photos even if I'm running around or jumping. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. It's basically for you to be able to adjust the shutter speed, to be able to capture more light and improve your photos by using those settings of the camera. And lastly, we have continuous. Continuous, some might say it's a bit similar to burst. Your cameras definitely have burst. Burst is by holding or pressing your camera, it will take multiple shots for you. Like those doing jump shots or those doing stunts, by pressing your camera, it will take maybe 5-10 shots within 1 second. Like right now, continuous is set at 10 frames per second. What continuous means is, as long as this setting depends on how long I hold the shutter button. So for continuous, if I hold the shutter button for 2 seconds and I set the interval to 10 frames per second, then I end up having 20 photos. If I set the interval to 3 frames per second and I hold the shutter button for 3 seconds, then I end up having 9 photos. So this all depends on how long I hold the shutter button. You guys understand? So this, in a way, is a bit similar to burst. So for burst itself, as you notice, there are rates mentioned here: 5 photos a second, 10 photos per second. So it's a bit similar, except that for this, it doesn't depend on how long you hold the shutter button. One press itself will take all those photos simultaneously. Basically, you don't have to do anything else. One button will do. Then next will be, yes. Yeah, continuous is the one which you have to hold. For burst, just one press, it will be able to take photos for you based on the settings you have set on the camera. Then there's time-lapse. So as mentioned earlier, for time-lapse and time-lapse video, it's using it's using the same interval settings. So the minimum interval that you have for your GoPro is 0.5 seconds. 0.5 seconds is best if your subject is moving fast. So you're trying to take a time lapse, which maybe let's say you place it within a crowd like this, and you wish to see the movement of each person, then it's best to use shorter time interval. However, if you're Sorry?
How about sunset?
Sunset, or yeah, sunrise or sunset. Since of course the sun itself moves a bit only for every few seconds, then you can. Sorry, is it like yeah, this one recommendation to get a smooth video is to set at least 10 to 30, between 10 to 30 seconds. Because using 2 to 5 seconds, it doesn't make much difference. You just end up using a lot of memory card space and battery life on your camera.
The multi-shot is basically photographs.
Yes, multi-shot is still considered as photos. So you still have to stitch all the photos together to create a time-lapse video effect. Yeah, for a session, the only way to create a time-lapse video is to use a GoPro session to stitch all those photos together. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. For Hero 4 session, Hero 4 Silver and Black, using the camera for time lapse, it's able to last 4 to 5 hours time lapse. It's a bit different as compared to using video. I'm sorry? Yes, depending on the interval you choose as well. I tried using 0.5 second interval on Hero 4 Silver. I was able to take time lapse worth about 3 hours. If you use longer time interval, you're able to record longer. However, if there are some who would use their cameras to record time lapse worth days or even weeks. If you wish to do that like this, you don't even have to use the GoPro inside your case. You can actually just put the camera, let's say like here over a table. You can just plug a power source right here on the side. So you're not able to take time lapse worth days if you wish to. You just have to plug on the side.
The lens is very vulnerable. There's no.
Lens, it's a bit vulnerable, but I mean,
Once you scratch it,
it can still be changed, however, not by GoPro. Because online there are some who offers lens replacements, which you can actually do on your own. But of course, it's a bit tricky at times. So if you wish to protect your lens, there are protector caps like this. So it's a lens cover. So at least even if I try to hit my lens. For session itself, I mean, since the main lens is inside, outer lens itself can be easily changed as well. The outer lens can be easily changed for session. Yeah, by GoPro, we do sell the lens for session. So next is okay. Last but not the least will be night lapse. Night lapse itself is similar to time lapse, except that, same like the night option earlier, you can change the shutter settings. However, aside from the shutter setting, I'm able to change the interval from not just up to a minute. This can go all the way up to 1 hour of interval. And the meaning of night shot is it doesn't mean that you only have to take pictures at night. You can even use night shot at day. Especially you just have to set the shutter to auto. So when you set the auto, even if you're outdoors under bright sunlight, the camera will use the right shutter speed for you and still take a good usable photo. It won't come out overexposed. Yeah. Do it at night, set to auto. It's still usable, however, depending on the lighting condition. If it's too dark, then you really have to use manual modes. So by using manual modes, by using manual modes, you can manually set to 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, or 30 seconds. However, for auto, it's only maximum up to 2 seconds of shutter speed. So using within city lights, it's good. However, if under, like maybe out in woods where there's no light at all, hardly. So lastly, we'll have the playback and setup. For playback, you'll be able to watch your videos, time-lapse, photos, everything within that mode. And setup, we'll go through setup as well. So at least you have an idea what the purpose of for. Wi-Fi is for you to activate, deactivate your Wi-Fi to control using your phone or your remote control. Touch display is to change the brightness and especially how long you want the screen to be on. Especially for you, sir, you mentioned you're going for diving, right? So you don't want your screen to keep on turning off right every after a few seconds. So what you can do for sleep, you can just set the level. At least your screen will be on the whole time. You don't want to keep on pressing your phone, your camera, just to see what's on the LCD screen. Then orientation. Orientation is useful, especially if you keep on changing position for your camera. Because there are cases where you'll be using or mounting your camera this way, and there are times where you'll be mounting it upside down as well. So when you mount the camera upside down without changing the orientation to auto, your videos, when you play it back on a computer, everything will be upside down. And this one, it auto changes orientation for you, so it's not so difficult. However, for silver and black, you are able to actually change orientation to auto, so in a way, it's similar to session where it changes for you automatically as well. Then default mode, whenever you try to turn on the camera, which mode you wish to use immediately. So most would be using video or photo, depending on which one you really prefer. Then we have an option called quick capture. Quick capture over here is similar to Hero 4 session. Once I activate quick capture mode, technically my Hero 4 silver and black is almost similar to a session. So by doing this, if my camera is off, I don't even have to press the front button to turn it on. What I need to do is I just press the shutter button once, my camera turns on and it records video straight away. So records video straight away. Pressing once. Yes, even if your camera is default to photo, as long as I switch the quick capture to on. Then another press, it stops the video recording and turns my camera off. So for those who are always on the go, you don't want to keep on pressing a lot of buttons on the camera, this will be useful. Then if you wish to take photos, what you have to do is you just have to press for 3 seconds. So when you press for 3 seconds, the camera goes to time-lapse mode. Yeah, within quick capture. So there are 2 options for quick capture, video and time-lapse. Pressing once goes to video, pressing for 3 seconds goes to time-lapse mode. No, time-lapse photo. There's no time-lapse video. That's right. It's based on what's set on your camera previously. Like LEDs mentioned earlier, beeps, if you're not really fond of hearing those beeps on your camera, you can turn it off as well. The video format and on-screen display are basically what you see on the top and bottom of your camera. So, like this one over here is the display. If you wish to remove this details on your camera, you can just turn it off by changing the on-screen display to off. For you to make sure that you don't burn out your camera battery, especially if you're not using it. So if you wish the camera to go off on its own right after a minute of inactivity, then you can just set the photo off. Date and time, delete, and camera reset. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. No. Auto off will just turn off the camera, but the Wi-Fi itself will still be active. So you're still on standby. So you're still able to turn the camera on with the auto off option.
So the auto off, if the camera's active, will it still turn off after?
No, it's only for inactivity. There's no activity happening. Then camera reset, if you wish to change all your settings to default, or if you forgot your Wi-Fi settings, if you forgot the password, you're able to change everything from here. So even before you're able to use the app on your phone, you have to set a username and password, which is not so difficult to do, especially for you just have to download the app, which is called GoPro Studio. I mean, right after this, if you do have some time, I can show you how it works. Then language, currently there's only Chinese and English. So basically those are some of the things that we have on setup. And we do have a short video, so just turn up the volume. So we have a short video here, which you guys can listen to.
Night photo lets you capture a single photo with a customizable exposure of up to 30 seconds. Your options are 2, 5, and 10 seconds for capturing photos at dusk and dawn, plus beautiful streetscapes, and 15, 20, and 30 seconds for starry nights. You can also select auto, which recognizes available light, and chooses an exposure up to 2 seconds.
So as mentioned earlier, 2, 5, and 10 is for situations where your environment is not so dark, like city lights, or you just have some good lighting around you, so it will actually help create a bright image for you. But if you wish to take photos like stars, or if you're lucky enough, you go to, let's say, if you wish to take the northern lights, you're able to do so by setting the camera all the way up to 30 seconds. You're able to take the northern lights by setting the camera to 30 seconds of exposure. I'm sorry. Sadly for our session, there's no light options. So, but in low light activity, it's still able to take usable photos, but not pitch dark environments. And we do have
You have there outside of the night setting.
Yes.
It's to take photos by adjusting the
exposure, but it's just that the shutter speed, it will be fast, so everything itself will turn out to be a bit dark still. So it's best if you're taking a low light environment, it's best to use night mode and set the camera to either auto shutter or manually set the shutter speed. So this is night lapse, which is quite fun to do, especially if you don't have.
Now let's get into night lapse. If you're familiar with time lapse mode on the GoPro camera, this should be pretty familiar. Night lapse allows you to capture photos with the same control as night photo, but at specified time intervals, so you can capture time-lapse photo sequences of the night sky. Like night photo, you have a range of options for shutter exposure and interval to give you the most control of your GoPro. Sound good? Awesome! Now that you're armed with night photo and night lapse, there's no reason not to get out there and capture the wonders of the night with your GoPro.
So these are some of the effects that you're able to do with night lapse. Even just facing the camera outside your window throughout the whole night. Maybe you can capture something like this, especially if you stay near the airport. You can actually see all the things going around, which is actually quite fun to watch.
Makes it 4 or 5 hours max.
I'm sorry?
4 or 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours if there's no plug attached to the camera. But if you wish to record more than that, you can just use your cable. Takes a power bank just right beside your camera. Any power bank will do. It can give you additional 5, 10, 15, or maybe one whole day of time lapse if you wish to. The cable itself is the one you use for your GoPro. Yeah, which is we plug right here on the side. However, if you wish to mount the camera, because without any housing, you have to just place the camera right on the table. But if you wish to mount the camera, let's say maybe over a corner, you wish to stick onto something, then there's an additional accessory for it, which is called the frame. The frame itself is like a holder which you're still able to plug in to hold the camera, mount it anywhere you wish to. Then for those advanced users who know how to tweak their camera settings, there's ProTune. ProTune is like a manual control for GoPro in which you're able to change the white balance settings, color settings, ISO settings, what else? Sharpness, and lastly will be exposure value. So those settings itself will just show you some of the things that you notice, especially when you change some of these settings on the GoPro. Like for example, right now, I activate ProTune. So once I activate ProTune, I can actually see some of these settings right away here. So for white balance, if I set to auto, it will basically choose the right temperature condition for you, so it's using the best one. However, if you wish to create a bluish effect, you can set the white balance to 3K. So if I exit, you notice everything turns out to be bluish. Here it doesn't look quite okay. However, at certain like environments, especially if you're taking a bit of a metro feel, you can use a blue setting which gives a certain effect like that. However, if you wish to have a bit of a yellowish effect, so this is the same as what you have on your phone, like you see constant, incandescent, those settings are basically called white balance settings. Then if I wish to have a bit of a yellowish effect, I can set to 6.5K. Now, right now it looks a bit yellowish. Somewhere in between, a bit neutral. Then if you wish to really take out all the colors, you can set to native. So native, everything will look quite flat. The colors look very flat. So having flat colors is not so bad, especially for those who wish to edit their videos. Because editing videos, you can actually add all the white balance settings manually later on, which you can do on GoPro's video. So aside from that, we have GoPro Color. Having GoPro Color gives a bit more saturation for your video or photo. Then you can also change to flat, which removes all the colors. So later on, if you wish to make it more saturated, you are able to do so. ISO limit, if you're recording in very dark environments, it's best to use higher ISO limits. Higher ISO limits means that your sensor is more sensitive to light. However, being more sensitive to light, it provides a bit more grain. You see a bit more grain in your videos, but of course it provides you a more brighter image or video for you. Then sharpness, if you don't do any editing, it's best to set the sharpness to high. But if you prefer to have a soft feel for your video, you can set to low. Then exposure, if you just wish to brighten up or darken up your image, then you can just move it up and down. So these are some of the things that you can do with ProTune. So for ProTune, it not only applies to video, but you're also able to do it for photos. But for session, even though it's not the same as a Hero 4, you're still able to do ProTune with video for a session. However, for photos, there's no ProTune option. Then, for Hero 4 Silver, or if you have the Hero 4 Black, and you wish to trim your videos, you're able to do so. You just have to find this scissor icon on your gallery. So by having that scissor icon, you can actually cut your videos or trim your videos accordingly. It's not to compile videos, but it's only for you to cut segments. So by cutting segments, it's easier for you to share or upload your videos. Especially if you have, let's say, 20 or 30 minutes worth of videos, so at least you can just cut a certain part of it which you wish to share. Yes, there's. If you keep on pressing this, if you see here, there's 15 seconds. If you actually press that setting there, it will come to a point where it will show still, S-T-I-L-L. Still means it actually tries to get a screenshot of that certain frame. So that's one way for you to get a photo from your video, aside from doing it from a computer. You're able to take screenshots from your video straight from the camera itself.
For the session is preset.
Session with the GoPro app, you are able to create to take stills as well.
I'm talking about the clip.
The clip, yes.
15 seconds, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's preset.
Yes, it's preset for you. So if you have a 30-second clip, you can only cut 5 or 15 seconds. If you have a 1-minute clip, you can cut 5, 15, 30 seconds of the video.
You cannot set 20 seconds.
No, you cannot set anything right in between. It's all preset. Same for Hero 4 Silver and Black. It's also preset. Yes. Yeah, the original won't be touched. It will create a new file for you. So highlight tag is a feature which is available on all GoPro cameras. This one is a bit useful for some, especially if they always like to share their videos. By actually pressing the side button on your GoPro, or using the session by using the app, you're able to put in markers. So what these markers do is, especially when you want to share the video later on, you don't have to search one by one. By having these markers, you can basically just go onto that marker and be able to share it straight away to your friends. Sorry? Yeah, when you play back later on, it will show like these blue lines over your video player, so at least it's easier for you to share later on.
So it's only when your video is on.
Yes, yes. So when you upload this video onto GoPro Studio, which is the GoPro editing software, you'll be able to see these markers as well. Then, as mentioned earlier, for quick capture, by pressing once, it goes to capture video. By holding 3 seconds, it goes to time-lapse mode. This is good for those who are always on the go. Yes.
The capture, how long will you restore? The press one time, they come to say.
Okay, once you press, the camera takes about 1 second to turn on, another second to record. So we wait about 2 seconds before the camera starts to record.
Almost quite similar to
Yeah, all very similar to this. However, if your card itself has a lot of files, it might take slightly longer because the camera itself they have to load and affect how much space it's still able to record.
Basically, if I use the little of the card, right, compared to use 64 of the card, will be the little of the card will be first.
Not on the size of the card, but actually the speed of the card. If you have a faster type of memory card like the Extreme or Extreme Pro, then you may not having a much faster response time. But the size itself won't differ that much because all of them do have the same configuration. Well, the speed of the card. That's right.
It's like,
No. However, I can give you a link for you to be able to review that later on as well. Then camera settings. So okay, this is remember earlier we were talking about which mode is it again? Video plus photo. So for video plus photo, there are 3 main resolutions, which is 1440, 1080, and 720. So for 1440, it's actually this resolution here, 1440p, and 1080 and 720 will be right over here. So our camera sensors are actually designed in such a way that it has a 4:3 ratio. So 4:3 ratio is something like this. It's 4 units wide, 3 units tall. So it's a bit squarish in a way. Same like our old CRT TVs at home or computer monitors before, those thick and heavy ones. Like right now, most of us are using LCD screens, which are a bit more rectangular, wider. So for those type of screens right now, it's using a ratio which is called 16:9. 16:9 is also known as widescreen display. It's 16 units wide and 9 units tall. However, our video or photo, our camera sensors are still made in 4:3 format. So how are we able to take videos at 16:9? So what our camera does is it basically just removes the top, removes the bottom, so now I end up having a 16:9. So recording in widescreen format actually removes a bit of detail from your video since you're cropping the top and the bottom part. So same for video plus photo. If you're using video plus photo and setting the camera to 1440p, you're able to take 12 megapixel photos. But for 1080 and 720p for video plus photo, I can only take 8 megapixel photos since I'm cropping the top and the bottom part of the sensor. So that's basically how most cameras work, especially if you're using a widescreen format. However, for GoPros, not only for silver and black, but also for a session, you most probably have seen this feature called Super View. What does Super View mean? okay, especially for users video. Super View is a feature for a GoPro which records your video in 4:3, but it dynamically stretches it to 16:9 format. So what's good about it is you're basically using the full sensor and you're still able to watch it in 16:9 format. So you're not losing any detail, you're able to get everything. It's just that your video will have a slightly more fisheye or curved effect. Because of course it has to stretch your video a bit. But in a way, it's really good if, like this guy is using it on a surfboard, since you don't have much space between you and the camera, so you cannot really move back. So the best option to do is to use a different setting so that you're able to have wider angle, more detail from your video, and at the same time it plays in full HD format.
Select view before you on.
Yes, we have to select Super View. Yeah, so you have to select Super View mode first before you even record. You're not able to do it later on. So for those who really wish to capture a lot of detail from their video, it's best to use Super View. However, sir, for you, you're going for diving, right? Super View is not so recommended since you're recording underwater, so having fisheye effect on top of water will create a different feel. It doesn't look very natural. So I can share with you a bit of settings later on, especially when you're going for diving. Then choosing your resolution. For GoPro, of course, the higher the resolution, the better it is. Of course, you could get more detail, more more clarity for your video. However, there are pros and cons since if you're recording a video but you're not really, it's not really something special for you, you don't really need the video. So what you end up is having a very big file, using up a lot of memory and battery life on your GoPro. So I mean, it's basically just a bulk since you have to find a space to keep that video as well. Most of us would just either throw the video onto our hard drives, or if you really want to free up some space, you can even upload to YouTube. But of course, uploading a very big file also takes some time. So you also have to know which resolution to use. If you know that the event is important for you, it's best to record in high res. So at least you get to have a really good copy. However, if for normal occasions where you just want to have a good copy, but also at the same time conserve memory card space, battery life, Full HD is enough. 1080, 48, 1348, or 60 frames is more than enough of what you get. Especially this resolution right now, this is just Full HD. The video, the presentation right now that I'm showing is just 1080. If this photo itself is clear enough for you, then actually it's good enough to keep as well. So it depends on what you really wish to have as your upload. But of course, if you do have a lot of space, you have a lot of battery, then I think best to go for higher resolution.
I was told that you want a smooth video.
Higher frame rate.
60.
Yes. Yeah, I'll go on to that on the next slide. So frame rates. So on your video itself, most of the time you'll notice that 1080 is the resolution. However, right at the back, you see numbers like 30, 48, 60, 90, 120. So those numbers are called frame rates. Frame rates basically our videos are made up of frames. So one frame is basically one picture. If you have two frames, basically the video, your photo itself, when compiled together, it will look a bit smoother. Imagine having 120 photos stitched together within a second, then of course it will be really smooth. So having more frame rates for your video tends to have smoother effects. But aside from having smoother effects, the purpose of having high frame rates is to create slow motion videos as well. For our eyes to notice any flickers on video, it has to be at least 24 frames. So anything that is lower than 24 frames per second, our eyes will notice flickers. So if you have, let's say, 48 frames of video recording, I can actually slow it down up to 2 seconds. So it will just become 24 frames per second. So 1 second, I can slow down to 2 seconds and I won't notice any flicker. So having 120 frames, slowing it down to 24 frames per second, I'm able to slow it down for 4 or 5 seconds without noticing any flicker. So flickering is of course not so good when watching a video since it distracts you from watching the video clearly. So higher frame rates is good if you have good lighting condition. So if you're recording outdoors, best if you use high frame rates, since you're able to maximize the camera shutter speed. And especially it's good for fast action shots since you're able to get every segment of your movement. And it's best for slow motion playback. However, high frame rate is not the best option to use all the time. If you're recording in an indoor situation like this, there are times where it's better to use lower frame rates, not because you don't want to have short videos, but of course you want to have brighter videos. If your video is short but it's too dark, then it also doesn't work very well. So you can adjust your frame rates lower to have better lighting. Because the faster the shutter speed for your camera, less light goes into your sensor. So having less light into your sensor means darker videos. So to brighten up your video, you have to lower the frame rates as well. So lowering the frame rates will enhance your video brightness, but one limitation is you're not able to create good slow motion videos anymore. So if you really wish to create good slow motion videos indoors, you have to provide good lights. So you cannot have the best of both worlds in the world of photography, videography. So however, you basically just have to try to play with the video settings for you to familiarize which setting to use to have better effects. The next, auto low light. So auto low light is a setting not just for silver and black, but also for a session, which allows you to, which automatically changes the frame rates for your camera. So if this works well if you're going from outdoors and suddenly you're going into a dark room. So from high frame rate, the camera will suddenly change to low frame rate recording automatically. So this actually will help you improve your video recording, especially if you're going from dark to bright or bright to dark. So, however, if you set the camera to low frame rate recording, this option is not available anymore. This only works if you set the camera to 48 or 60 frames or higher than that, since the shutter is able to move up and down. But if your if your frame rate is, let's say, 24 or 30 frames per second, it doesn't have any much frame rate to play with in the first place. This works only if you have high frame rate settings on your camera. Any questions? Clarifications? And for you guys, especially 04 silver and black users, most of us are familiar in using the back screen since it's bigger, easier to see. However, there are times where it's also important to know what's in front. So this logo here indicates which setting you're using right now. W means wide. There are three main settings on a GoPro in terms of field of view. There's wide, medium, and narrow. Wide itself is 170 degrees of recording angle, which I can show you guys, so at least you have an idea of which setting to use depending on what you want to record. So this is field of view wide. So for wide, I can actually see, let's say, all the way here. So I'm able to record 170 degrees of angle. However, if I change my field of view to medium, it becomes 127. And if I wish to zoom up a bit some more to remove the facial effect, I can set it to narrow. Setting the camera to narrow provides some zooming. You notice that it zooms up a bit. Especially, sir, when you're diving, you don't want to really go close up to the fish, then this is one good setting to use. So these are the three main modes that you'll be using from time to time on a GoPro. However, for wide, medium, and narrow, it doesn't work in all resolutions. It only works at 1080 and 720p. So if, for example, I switch the resolution to 960, it only comes in one. There's no medium and narrow sections. So that is meaning for this W right over here. This sunlight icon is photo low light. 1080, 60 is basically the resolution, the frame rate. PP is Pro Tune. Pro Tune means that you activate the white balance, ISO, those settings. 01 right over here indicates how many photos or videos you've taken. So if you're in video mode, it will show 01. If you switch to photo, it could be a different number. Because photos and videos are two different files. Then 2 hours, 8 minutes here is not your remaining battery life on the camera. It's actually the remaining space left on your memory card to record. So if you're using a bigger card, you'll end up seeing a bigger number here. Especially for photos, you can reach all the way to 15,000, 20,000 if you're using a big card. So this is battery life, this is Wi-Fi indicator. Then next will be in single photo, same as the one earlier. Like you notice here, instead of seeing hours and minutes, what you see are numbers, which means you still have 870 photos to record onto your memory card. Then continuous. Continuous is something which you're able to create these type of shots. However, doing this sort of shot requires some editing as well. So not from the camera itself, you end up having this type of effect. So you have to have a bit of experience in Photoshop to do layering. So once you are able to do layers, you are able to create this type of effect. Then I'll show you a short video with regards to burst as well.
This is my favorite setup, and I use it for more than just skiing.
So burst is great if you're doing sports, since of course, especially if you're doing stunts or tricks, you don't want to keep on doing your tricks, your stunts or maybe jump shots over and over again. Especially if you're a group is trying to get a good jump shot. You can just place the camera there and keep on jumping, and at any point in time you should be able to get a great shot. Rather than pressing the shutter button over and over again, and you guys will keep on jumping. So this one, within 30 photos, let's say maybe 5 out of 6 for these photos will turn out to be great. At least you don't have to keep on wasting your time doing jumps over and over again to do something else. So this is time lapse, a bit different from the night lapse earlier, so you guys can watch this video as well. So-called the time-lapse effect. Those are all captured by GoPro. However, the effects, you notice that it seems to be a bit different for each scene. The first one, basically the camera is just placed over, let's say, a rock, then basically just records the scene. The second video is actually using a 360-degree timer, which we do sell right over here as well. So what you do is you just mount the camera over that timer, and it rotates 360 degrees within a span of 1 hour. Create a panoramic effect of the scenery. Then the third one, the one which you see which slides around under the tree over the beach, that is an accessory called a slider. Slider is a bit something which is mainly used by professionals. It's a bit pricey as well. Can be spending more than the camera itself just by getting the slider. So those are some of the things which professionals will use to create these type of scenes. So we are almost at the end. So currently we will be discussing more of the mounts that you can use to create these type of shots. So for water activities, especially for snorkeling, surfing, it's best to have a floating hand grip. So in case you really drop the camera to the sea, you'll be able to retrieve it easily just by looking for the grip itself. Next is the tether. Yeah, it comes with a tether line, so you can strap it to your wrist. Then for the gooseneck, it's an accessory which allows you to rotate the camera, twist and turn, especially for like this DJ, just want to have it over your kitchen, showing you what you're doing while you're cooking. Something good to have together with the jaws stand. Then the three-way itself is one of the most popular mounts, especially when you're traveling, since you're able to take selfies. There's standard and the tripod leg, and it uses a standard grip as well. Then these are the wearable mounts. So for those doing mountain biking or extreme activities, chassis is one of the best mounts to have since it provides the best stability for you since it's over at your chest, which is like the center of gravity for a body. Then next is junior chesty for kids. There's the head strap and quick clip, which is best for point of view shots since it's placed quite close to our eyes. Then fetch for those who have dogs and you really love their dogs. For you to get one for them. Then wrist housing is something which you can use for surfing as well. Or for those who go for skydiving, there's a new accessory called the strap. You mount it over your hand, wrist, arm, leg, or whichever part of your body you like to mount it to. Then gear mounts, like the roll bar mount for cars, or for those who do paintball, or using rifles, fishing rods, archery, can go for the sportsman's mount. Handlebar for bicycles. And the adhesives itself, as I mentioned earlier, they actually tried how strong it is and they mounted it onto the wing of a plane. So just to show how good it is. So it's quite strong. And this, I don't know why the word came out. This is so-called the tripod mount. So the camera itself can be mounted onto any standard tripod. So if you have a DSLR, you have a big tripod, you just want to use the GoPro on those type of mounts, you're able to do so just by getting an adapter. So lastly, the helmet side mount, which to mount the camera on the side. So GoPro app and GoPro Studio. So GoPro app itself is what made GoPro. Because previously, when GoPro 2 came out, it's not really that popular because it's nothing different to other cameras. But when GoPro 3 came out and they started to launch this GoPro app, that's when people started to talk about GoPro, and now it's a world famous brand that everyone is talking about. So GoPro app itself also allows you to control the camera, change every setting, update your camera firmware, look on your camera gallery, you see everything on your GoPro camera. There's only one thing you're not able to do with the GoPro app, which is to turn off your GoPro Wi-Fi. But the rest of the settings you're able to do so. Because the Wi-Fi on your GoPro, you really have to turn off manually. Then you're now able to play back content. You can also trim your videos. You can add highlight tag moments as well. So there's a lot of things you can do with the GoPro app right now. And right after transferring your videos on your phone, you can immediately share to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, since they have pre-designated links for you to upload straight away. Yes?
Are you about to explain how to transfer videos via the app?
Okay, the camera itself and the app, it works via Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi on the GoPro doesn't mean that you're using Wi-Fi data from any network. The camera itself is a Wi-Fi hotspot, same like your router at home. So once they're connected, you're able to transfer the files wirelessly. Even if you're out in the sea without any connection, you're able to copy all the files and transfer on your phone. So how do you copy the videos on your phone? First is you just have to go to gallery, and there's an arrow right over there. So once you press that arrow, basically it's
on
a
the camera.
on your phone. On your phone. There's an arrow pointing down, which means you are basically downloading the file of your phone. So once you download the photo on your phone, you'll be able to watch the high resolution video.
And it's illegal. You have to see videos and jamming country.
Yeah, you can delete from the app as well. You're not only just able to play back from there, but you'll be able to delete all the photos and videos. And one thing that most people would ask, why is it that when I try to watch my videos over my phone, how come it's not so short here? Have you noticed it? It's there's one reason to remember. It's because the video that is being transferred to your phone is in a format called LRB. It's .lrb. LRB is a file which means low resolution video. The reason why GoPro says low resolution video of your phone is since one is only meant for preview. So having low resolution will save up space, save processing power, save battery. So if you really wish to watch the high resolution video, you go to your gallery, download the file itself. Once you watch over your phone itself, you'll be able to watch the high resolution copy. So if you take out the micro SD from your camera, plug it over your computer, you actually see three different files. MP4 is the high resolution copy, LRB is the low resolution video copy, then TH10 basically is the thumbnail for your video. So those are some of the videos or files that you're able to find inside your camera. Yes.
So for instance,
Yeah. Sure.
just cut up for us.
Yeah.
I want to save that image. Then you want to save the space in your this. You remove your own video.
Yeah.
So we found that so this is
All the files.
That's
Right.
because it's transferred to the phone.
Yeah, all files will still be saved as MP4, which is the high resolution copy. So even if you try to cut and everything will still be in high resolution format. It's just that the preview, the LRB, is automatically created when you try to record your video or cut or film the video. So LRB is just meant for preview. Yes. Yes. Oh, okay. If you record as 4K, GoPro itself, the app, it will detect which phone to use since they have created different formats for the app. So if it knows that your phone cannot support 4K, then it won't allow you to download 4K. If your phone supports 4K, yes. However, if your phone, for example, supports 1080 recording, it will download anything from 1080 downwards. So it will download the original file itself. It won't change the resolution of your video. No, it will basically won't convert the resolution of your video. It will still remain as 1080. So it's just that you're still able to play it at that resolution. Yeah. No, you won't have any option to download the file at all. You don't have any option to download the file at all. Yeah, so you really have to use a computer to watch that video in record that resolution.
Whatever I access to my phone and Wi-Fi, all lower resolution, right? If I capture,
Yes.
I download it, capture a video, my
Yes,
phone, low
what
resolution.
you see as preview are all low resolutions, but you have an option which is the arrow icon, which you're able to download the high resolution file with your phone as well. Later on, if you wish to see, I can give you a sample of how it's done. Anyway, we're almost on to our last slide, which is GoPro Studio. So for GoPro Studio, this is one app which you can use to edit all your videos, file them all together, change the resolution, adjust the color, and there are also inbuilt templates. If you're not really sure what to do, you can basically just drag and drop all the videos together. So you can basically create videos without even really custom.
No need for computer.
Yes, for Mac and Windows. For currently for phones, there's no app yet distributed by
Search it. It's a Google.
There are some other brands, some other apps like Viva Videos, the app which you can use to upload your local videos all over the world.
I took a video, my first video. What happened was I realized I was touching the microphone when I was playing my first.
Yeah, the sound itself will be.
Can I remove that sound?
The sound itself, if you wish to remove from your video, you can use the software. But straight from the app itself. So lastly, for this video, we'll be having more classes in the future. Teach you guys how to edit videos in quality. If you wish to attend, we'll be having it probably around March for classes on your review. So for further details about GoPro, just look for this app online. It's called GP Training App. You'll be able to see the different functions for your camera, the different accessories, how to use them, how to tweak all the different settings. It's a different app for the GoPro. This is just meant for training, just for you to know how to use the camera. So I hope you guys learned a number of things today. So if you guys wish to know or maybe want to verify anything in regards to your camera, you can just approach any of us after this video.